Prince Abdulaziz Bin Salman, the energy minister of Saudi Arabia, stressed that the globe is too dependent on Saudi oil exports to withstand a 2 to 3 week disruption. He made this observation during his speech at the Global Cybersecurity Forum. The energy industry is extremely open to cyberattacks. And even though they don't include a real army or combat, they can nonetheless have a major negative impact. Even if one may bounce back from such attacks rather rapidly, he also stressed the need of remaining alert and not taking anything for granted. For this reason, Saudi Arabia unveiled its 2024 OPEC Plus output targets, which is a radical departure from the norm. The world's largest oil producer, Saudi Aramco, has a CEO who says that the global oil market is still competitive, which is bad news for a world that depends mostly on fossil fuels. Furthermore, because there is very little spare capacity, a small uptick in demand from China or the aviation sector might send oil prices skyrocketing once more. The CEO issues a warning, saying there is no margin for mistake and that any unanticipated incidents or disruptions might have a big effect on the market. Despite variations in oil prices, analysts argue that businesses such as Exxon and Chevron have not adjusted their priorities. The OPEC Plus group of 23 oil-producing nations, according to Saudi Arabia's Minister of Energy, is able to alter its output schedule as needed. The minister added that the group is flexible and will adjust course of action in response to market conditions. This declaration comes after the group decided to keep the 2 million barrels per day of oil output reductions in place. According to OPEC's prediction, the economic recovery in China is expected to drive up demand for oil in 2024, resulting in an increase of 100,000 barrels per day. The group has determined that one of the main factors driving up oil demand in China in 2024 will be the country's mandatory mobility restrictions. However, the future for oil demand could be adversely affected by economic issues such as rising inflation, monetary tightening measures, sovereign debt levels, and political unrest. The benchmark for most of the world's oil, Brent, shot up to $140 a barrel in 2020 following Russia's invasion of Ukraine. The global benchmark hit a peak and is currently trading at about $84 per barrel. Due to pricing restrictions on its crude and processed products, Russia, the second largest oil producer in the world, declared that they will reduce production by 5%, or 500,000 barrels per day, in March. The EU and the G7 decided on February 5 to set a $100 per barrel cap for premium fuels like diesel and a $45 per barrel cap for cheaper items like fuel oil and naphtha. Additionally, Russian diesel and other refined products are prohibited by the EU. In the first half of this year, the world will have more oil than it needs, predicts the International Energy Agency. But if demand increases and Russia's output declines, we can soon find ourselves back in a situation where there is not enough oil. According to the agency, China will supply 900,000 barrels of the extra 2 million barrels of oil per day needed this year. Saudi Arabia also restates the fact that politics has no bearing on OPEC Plus decisions. The energy minister of Saudi Arabia, who is the head of OPEC, stressed that the alliance's choices regarding oil production levels are not influenced by political prejudice. Rather, they base their decisions on the fundamentals of the market. Russia and Saudi Arabia are the leaders of OPEC Plus, and politics has no say in what they decide. The minister from Saudi Arabia noted that the alliance is flexible and may adjust its production targets if needed. OPEC Plus decided in October to start reducing quotas in November by 2 million barrels per day. Additionally, a number of producers have recently justified this choice, which appears to be a concerted reaction to criticism from the U.S. The United States administration issued a warning, threatening to impose penalties on Saudi Arabia and Russia for spearheading the production cut. OPEC Plus just declared that, in spite of Russia's announcement of a reduction in output because of Western sanctions and price limitations, it will not alter its goals for oil production. Prior to the EU outlawing Russian petroleum products, OPEC Plus had maintained its output targets. The UAE voiced concerns about the potential for future shortage of supply rather than demand due to the fact that oil output is dropping in many nations. On Bloomberg TV, UAE Energy Minister Suhail Al-Mazrouei underlined the necessity of a sufficient supply going forward. According to the Saudi energy minister, the OPEC Plus deal will also last until the end of the year. According to Prince Abdulaziz Bin Salman, the Saudi energy minister, the existing OPEC Plus oil output agreement will last until the end of the year. He underlined that while deciding on output, the group cannot only rely on early indicators of demand. He affirmed that the arrangement from October will stand for the whole of the year. Prince Abdulaziz did, however, stress the significance of further assurances. He said that by exercising caution, we can spot a beneficial trend and make sure it continues. According to him, it is uncertain how much inflation would rise and, given their responsibilities, how central bankers will react. The prince demanded answers from the International Energy Agency, or IEA, on the oil that was released from the U.S. Strategic Petroleum Reserve the previous year. And it's because they overestimated the decline in Russian production of 3 million barrels per day. He said he respected the U.S. government's decision to sell oil from its reserves and admitted that it was not his decision. The decision was impacted by the fear that the IEA's forecasts of Russia's production decline would induce. However, for the fourth consecutive month, Saudi Arabia may lower the price of oil for Asian nations. March will see a fourth straight month of price reductions for Asian buyers of Saudi Arabia's crude oil. This is because of worries over oversupply, even though China's demand is predicted to rebound. According to sources, the official selling price of Arab light crude for cargoes loaded in March may drop by 30 cents. According to a Singaporean, if they changed, the difference in oil costs would only be $1.50 more than the mean of the other two quotations. Asia's demand for medium-grade oil is declining, and China's oil supply may not increase significantly in the near future. China is anticipated to require more oil when they relax their COVID-19 regulations, although the large number of cases may provide some difficulties. Last month, cheap crude oil was purchased by Unipec, a significant oil trading corporation in China, from Abu Dhabi, Brazil, and North America. Even still, China and India continue to buy cheap Russian oil, leaving the Asian market unstable owing to excess. Once more, in order to avert a possible slump in the world economy, OPEC and its partners intend to maintain their present decrease of 2 million barrels per day in oil output. According to analysts, lower fuel oil margins could result in a more substantial price reduction for heavier oil types. Saudi Arabia sets the pricing for crude oil, which are then used as a benchmark by Iraqi, Kuwaiti, and Iranian authorities. Approximately 9 million barrels of crude oil are shipped daily to Asia. Furthermore, Saudi Aramco assesses changes in oil value over the previous month and takes customer feedback into account when setting its crude oil prices. Delegates to the Joint Ministerial Monitoring Committee, JMMC, are informing the media that OPEC Plus may explore deeper production cuts for the first quarter of 2024, with a potential total reduction of over 2 million barrels per day, BPD. This information was provided as the JMMC meeting got underway on Thursday. According to delegates, total OPEC Plus cuts might reach close to 2 million BPD, depending on the country's willingness to participate, commodity expert Giovanni Stanovo reported as the JMMC conference got underway. A rollover of the 1.3 million BPD Saudi and Russian reduction is included in the figure. Following the OPEC Plus monitoring panel meeting, a full OPEC Plus online meeting will be held, during which all decisions will be made. Although it's still unclear what the final figure will be, Amina Becker, chief OPEC correspondent and deputy bureau chief at Energy Intelligence, stated that there is a lot of confidence that OPEC Plus will conclude a deal that leads to a deeper cut. Less than 30 minutes before the start of the entire OPEC Plus meeting, oil prices were up 1.5% on the news of further cutbacks expected for the next year. The Financial Times was informed earlier today by sources close to the Saudi delegation that Saudi Arabia, the organization's head and biggest producer, has received provisional approval for further cutbacks, to which other OPEC Plus members will also participate. Delegates told FT that Saudi Arabia has threatened to reverse its modest 1 million barrel reduction if other producers do not agree to make larger cuts. According to two sources at OPEC Plus who spoke to Reuters earlier in the day, there is a preliminary agreement in place for OPEC Plus to reduce more than 1 million barrels per day, BPD, in 2024. This includes Saudi Arabia continuing its voluntary cuts and additional reductions from other members of the organization. What do you think of Saudi Arabia and OPEC Plus's decision to maintain its output till the end of 2024? Let me know down below. If you want to continue to learn about business investing and financial education, we have got this video waiting on the screen for you to check out. Don't forget to give this video a like and subscribe for more videos like this. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.